Designing and fabricating my own bicycle frame is something I've wanted to do for quite some time now. I've never really had the practical means or the time to take on such a project, but now I think I've got it figured out. With 3D printing, of course.
Jake, build stuff!
The frame will be a tube and lug style construction featuring traditionally manufactured carbon fiber tubes, scrap tubes that I had saved from various projects, and 3D printed lugs. The lugs will be printed from 3DX's Carbon X, carbon fiber reinforced polycarbonate material, which I have a video about printing on my Ender 6 that you can check out. The first step was to sketch out the geometry, then the tubes, and then the lugs in SolidWorks. Then I 3D printed prototype lugs with ABS to get the fit and sizing correct, especially of the rear triangle, as the wheel fit and alignment is kind of tricky. Top tube, then the head tube has to kind of... Aha! That looks like a bike frame. Look at that. It's pretty heavy. Although the weight, is going to be, it's going to be heavy. That is my frame assembly jig. Once I was satisfied with the construction of the frame, I turned my attention to an assembly fixture. I needed this fixture to ensure my frame would be held square and true during the bonding process. Next, I wanted to test my jig, so I assembled the frame with the prototype parts using hot glue. That worked great to give me some confidence that I was on the six, which you can check out details on that. All of the parts printed perfectly, except for a few minor hiccups that weren't really the fault of the material or my printer. I just kind of screwed up. Next, just a couple of small details, bottle cage mount holes, and sanding the tubes for an even surface finish. And finally, time to assemble the frame. This process took most of the morning, was quite tedious and a bit nerve-wracking. as I only had one shot to get this right, as well as limited working time before the epoxy starts to set up. Fortunately, my practice assembly and the overall preparedness meant that things went overall pretty smoothly, and the finished frame came out great. The rear wheel alignment is on point, and the frame is super strong. And the only thing left to do now was to assemble the bike. First ride out on the new bike. I used it exactly as it was intended for. I run some errands to go to the bike shop to get the right size chain because my chain's too short. So I got a new chain. I'll head back and put it on. It's hard to think of a project I've taken on that has come out as good as this. Not only did the frame come out straight and true and strong, but the bike is a heck of a lot of fun to ride. It's pretty much the perfect commuter, easy riding bike that I was going for. I've been riding a little bit every day for a week now and already have about 66 miles on it with no issues. Here's a look at the bill of materials for the project. The total cost was just over $1,500, which is pretty reasonable and comparable to similarly configured bikes on the market. Of course, that doesn't take into account the hours that I put into this project, which is somewhere around 200 hours over a 6-week period. Someone asked me if I was going to make the design public. Well, I'd like to, yeah. Two problems though. One is the size. It'll only fit small riders like me, around 5 foot 5 inches. And two, the lugs are made for specific tube sizes, which are kind of random since I used scrap parts I had laying around. It would be difficult to source some of these tubes for your project. However, I'm a big believer in open source, so let me know down in the comments what you guys think, and if there's interest, I'll consider putting it up on Thingiverse. Thanks for checking it out. If you're interested, I have a playlist with a bunch of videos with a lot more detail about the design and build process of this bike. Help the channel out by liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, and I'll see you in the next one.